Today I'm joined by a very important guest. He's co-founded one of Africa's unicorn, Andela, which is worth over $1.5 billion today. And now he is running a platform which is rethinking how domestic services work in Africa by turning everyday chores into reliable tech-enabled systems with Eden Life. Welcome, Nadayar Enegesi. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Zoa. Thanks for having me here.
Hey,
Great day here in Lagos. Nice and hot.
Nice and hot. So give us, how hot are we talking about in Celsius?
Probably like 35 degrees out there today. I'm sure you must like that right now.
I know. It's the other way. It's sub-zero here. So yeah, I can only imagine. Hey, Nadayar, thanks for joining us today. This is an honor having you, and I really appreciate taking the time. Hey, for our audience who may not know you, could you just give us a quick spiel on who you are, a little bit about your...
Awesome. Well, first of all, I'm just a boy who grew up in Nigeria, and at the age of 16 had to move to Canada to study, which is where we first met in Hamilton. And shortly after that, I studied computer science at the University of Waterloo, and then me and my friends decided to do entrepreneurship, and one thing led to another. We were super passionate about education at first and technology and bringing those two things together. And we realized that with the brilliance that exists in Africa, you can actually train software engineers very quickly and connect them to global opportunities. So I took a one-way flight back to Nigeria after spending 7 years in Canada. And we built this company called Andela. Till today, Andela has probably influenced the growth of over 100,000 software engineers in Africa and across the world. About 7 years ago again, I decided to venture into another company called Eden Life. And my passion for creating Eden Life started from my desire to make life 10 times better, like to improve the quality of life. And there are so many ways to solve this problem. And we decided to start with the way people receive services every day. So we're using technology to coordinate how people receive services to ensure that they get a certain level of quality and it's also affordable. And that's the journey that I am currently on. And I'm sure it's going to evolve into a lot more interesting things as we go.
Exciting, man. I could just feel the adrenaline rush there, So we're going to talk about Eden Life in a second, but just can you put me in the picture, like what was going on in your mind, you took a one-way flight back home after spending so many years, studying at University of Waterloo. You had so many opportunities here in Canada, in North America. Walk us through your train of thoughts, and just, was there any fear, any like, what if this doesn't work? I'm going back to Nigeria, what was going through your mind? I'm curious.
I think I am blessed with a high level of risk appetite. So at the time I wasn't really thinking about risk because I knew that my floor would always be where I'm at. I think for entrepreneurship, people might be scared to start because they're concerned about the risk. But really most entrepreneurs fail upwards because where you are today is the worst that you would ever be. You're definitely going to learn more going forward. Risk wasn't really a concern. In fact, I was actually filled with a lot of enthusiasm because I hadn't been to Nigeria in a very long time. I'm a Nigerian maxi, first of all. I should put this out there. Even with how crazy things look right now, I'm still very bullish on Nigeria and Africa in general. If we don't do it, no one else will, right? So combine that with the energy from my other co-founders. All of us were kind of like crazy about this opportunity. So there was no room for doubt. It was more like, roll the dice and see what happens. Worst case, we did something. So I was super excited about it and didn't even consider the possibility of failure because I know that if it doesn't work, that's already the default state, like nothing much changes.
Wow. No, that's impressive. And so how many were you from UW? I know about and were there other who else?
So there were 6 of us in total. 3 of us went to UW. he did. Bryce as well. Funny enough, Bryce, who is from Cameroon, also went to CIC, but he was in the set ahead of us before. Before going to Waterloo. And then Ian is also, he didn't go to Waterloo, but he participated in Waterloo's entrepreneurship program, Velocity. So all four of us were sort of in that Waterloo ecosystem, and then our two other co-founders were from the US, Jeremy and Christina.
Yeah. Would you say that was where your paths crossed? Other than E and Bryce, so Bryce would have been later on like a set ahead of you, but like that's an A team you've got there, right? Seeing what you guys accomplished. So what would you say was the,
Yeah, I mean, like different things kind of, I mean, you know this thing about when you really decide to do something, the universe conspires to make it happen. There was definitely a universal conspiracy going on there, because I was already friends with Bryce. I was already friends with E. Was already building stuff with Ian in Velocity. He recruited me. I recruited Bryce. We were working on an edtech platform just before Andela, and then
is that Booknado?
This was after Booknado, actually. It was called Fora. And then he was reaching out to Jeremy in New York for mentorship. And then we got into this accelerator program in Toronto. We got to New York, and that's where he had the meeting with Jeremy just after that. And things just rapidly escalated from there. Jeremy pulled in Christina, who was his friend. And like next thing you know, a few months later, we're booking flights. We're coming back to the motherland to do all of these things. So it was quite a fortunate set of events that worked hand in hand, which is why I always say people think that success in business is 100% hard work. Hard work is important, diligence is important, but serendipity and luck plays a huge role, because you need all of these things and all these people to come together to make amazing things happen.
Yeah. Also being at the right place at the right time too.
Definitely. Yeah.
No, that's amazing. Okay, so let's fast forward. By the way, that was great seeing. This is many years ago. I think it's funny. We kept in touch like maybe once every year, but like most of the news and the way I kept up to date with what you guys were up to was on the news.
Okay.
1 minute I'm saying, Mark Zuckerberg is going back, is gonna invest in Andela and whatnot, or you've raised some funds and stuff. So that was really inspiring to see. But fast forward after that, what was it that made you make that like transition into this new venture, Eden Life? Because it's a whole different world. In one world, you're
completely different.
Completely different. So walk us through that.
Yeah. So I moved to Lagos in 2014. I finally decided to do Eden Life in 2019. So I had been here for many years already. Until today, actually, like daily life sucks here, and everyone talks about how, in a place like Nigeria, let's use Nigeria as an example, the weather is great, the people are nice, the energy is awesome, the music is great, the food is great, but there are these fundamental things that are missing in the way the urban areas are planned and the way they run. So sometime in late 2018, I started to get very interested in urban development. And I was like, how do we build new cities where things actually function? Because the amount of time that you waste in Nigeria is ridiculous. First of all, if you're going to work and coming back every day, you could be losing like 5 hours of your day to just traffic alone.
Really?
So yeah, like if you're losing all that time, you depend on a bunch of other people to get stuff done for you. Most people here that have cars, they will have a driver. People might have a chef, or they might use other services to get food, or they have to go to the market to get food. They might have like cleaners and other domestic staff that manage stuff around the household, just to reclaim some of that time back, right? But when you're interacting with these folks, you can tell that there is a lack of standards and education in how these services are delivered. But even the way the services are organized and received and managed, there's a lot of room for improvement. I was living through all that friction while I was here, and I was like, yeah, there has to be a better way to do this. But the original thing that I really wanted to do was build new cities. I was like, yeah, you just need to build new cities, because that is a fundamental issue, right?
Is that still a North Star?
Basically, yeah, it still is. after doing the first wave of research, we discovered that to even develop a prototype for 10,000 people is going to cost like $100 million. I was like, who the hell? Who's going to give us $100 million to run an experimental city in Nigeria, right? One of my advisors gave me some really good advice. He was like, why don't you take the Elon Musk approach? Like, if you wanna go to Mars, build cars. So that's how the idea for What Eden Life became. That's where it came from. It came from, okay, how do we create like the soft side of what this kind of like new style of living is going to look like, where everything is organized. The version of Eden Life that we have built so far is one where you can put services on autopilot to remove all that friction. So on Eden Life, you can set up a meal plan that gives you a recurring schedule for when your meals show up and the kind of meals you want. You can also set up a recurring schedule for things like your dry cleaning or your home cleaning, and it completely removes the friction from like dealing with the system. And all of these things happen on time, every time, just like how you have scheduled it. And that's the version that we started with. And of course, we've made different iterations along the way, and we're still iterating. But my North Star, bro, like if you gave me 100 million today, I'm building a new city. Like that's because those fundamental, the underlying problem is still there. It's still there. Like if you come here, you're definitely going to feel that friction because of just how our cities are organized and how they run.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't, because my last visit to Lagos was probably it was not long ago, 2 years ago, and I did feel a little bit of the traffic. You know, going into like the bridge. I don't remember places too well, but like Lekki and all that. Like and going to different parts of the city was just like very it was hard getting around.
Let me ask you a simple question. Did you take any walks while you were here? Did you take any walks outside?
You know what? Not really, no. But we were in this. It was an estate, so within the estate there was like security and things like that. So we walked, but there are lots of places where we couldn't walk. And also, Nigeria, like, 8 o'clock, everyone's trying to make their way back, right? But the sensible ones, but usually, like, it was not. Safety is also a concern. Is that what you're trying to alluding at?
Not really. Actually, I think it's pretty safe. Like, it's relatively safe. But like walking is just not something that is part of the lifestyle of the middle class and above. Most people are just in cars because it's quite unpleasant to walk. Most places do not have sidewalks.
No, I noticed that.
So it's hard to walk because like you're competing with all the drivers on the actual road, right, while walking. The intentionality with putting greenery and trees is also not there. The city is not very clean. And I'm being nice when I even say it that way. It's actually quite unclean. So walking is not pleasant. But like if we went back to our roots with urban planning, I'm sure like those are things that we could really fix and need to transform the quality of lives of people. But anyways, like these are lofty dreams that I have, and hopefully the things that we're building will give us the opportunity to eventually tackle some of these larger scale problems.
And just to make that clear, with Eden Life, right now you are targeting sort of, because I know, so growing up in Nigeria, we had these things, drivers, nannies and all that. But I know also it wasn't like a norm, right? So this is like, you're targeting like middle class, working class and upper class kind of families in Nigeria. Is that your typical client profile?
That's who we're building for. Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, so Nadayar, let's shift gears a little bit. I also know that you're a big fan. I shouldn't say fan. Yeah. You're a big evangelist when it comes to blockchain, as well as the base ecosystem. Yeah. So tell me about that. How does that marry with your dreams and your ambitions for Eden Life, and just like maybe your personal mission as well with emerging markets like Nigeria?
Yeah, so we can. I guess this is our emerging technology segment, right? We'll talk about crypto and AI. But I first got introduced to crypto by my friend Timmy. He had a company called Bitcoins. This was many years ago. Bitcoins was like the first legit crypto exchange in Nigeria and Africa. Awesome product. And he always used to say, buy Bitcoin. And I'm like, I guess like as a tech person, I should buy this thing, right? I didn't really understand it. And then he wrote a book He wrote a book called The Little Bitcoin Book, and I got a copy and I read it, and it completely changed my life, because I realized that the world is rigged. Yeah. So in terms of money, the money that we use today, paper money, it gets devalued every year. It gets devalued every year. And why does it get devalued? Because our central banks can print money at will. And of course, like demand and supply, like the more supply there is, the less valuable it is, right? And they benefit the most. The person printing the money benefits the most, because before that money circulates, they can buy things they can buy things at current prices and a current value with the new money that they just created out of thin air. Meanwhile, the rest of us have to deal with the downstream effects. So I'll give you a very good example. Someone tweeted a few months ago or last month, he had a receipt of things he bought in Nigeria for 25,000 naira. And he tried to buy those same things today, and it cost like maybe 100k plus. So I think like it was like almost 5 times more that he had to that he spent, and that's between 2020 and now. So you can see how like people's money have just like ridiculously devalued, and this is happening all around the world. Nigeria is just experiencing it in a much tougher way, but it's happening globally. Bitcoin solves this because Bitcoin is real money. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. You cannot create new Bitcoin from scratch. And for you to get Bitcoin, you have to spend energy to mine it and get it out. The other cool thing about it is borderless. You can transact with anyone, anywhere in the world. There is no central control. I don't know if you remember the one time where there were protests in Canada, and the government instructed the banks to shut down protesters or to like lock their accounts.
Yeah, are you talking about the truckers? You talking about the truckers?
Yes, the trucker. That happened, right? Like if we're using Bitcoin, like that cannot happen, right? There's no you cannot censor it. So I'm super bullish on cryptocurrency, because like when we talk about financial inclusion, is one of the most powerful tools. When you talk about financial empowerment, cryptocurrency is one of the most powerful tools to achieve that. Recently, I got very infatuated by what Coinbase is doing with Base. They launched their own blockchain, making everything faster and cheaper and more accessible. As to like how does that affect what we're doing with Eden Life? I can't speak too much about it. I have some ideas. If you were to build Eden Life in a way that would enable everyone around the world, or every African around the world, to participate in improving the quality of life, definitely crypto and blockchain is going to play a role, because of all the cross-border advantages that it gives us, right? And how it includes everybody in without much red tape. So that's the biggest hint I can give. But like really, like anyone who is listening to this, I would really encourage you to look into cryptocurrency and how you can start getting acquainted. There's a lot of misinformation out there about cryptocurrency, because it's transparent money and is also borderless. Of course, people will use it for nefarious things like crime and whatever, right? But best believe crime is happening with normal money too.
Yeah, it is.
So I mean, like you also have an experience with Coinbase, and how you guys help people fighting inflation in Argentina with USDC, right? So maybe you can also chip in.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with everything you mentioned. Like the problem with inflation and also having a centralized body controlling, it does affect people's ability to, it does affect people's ability to grow. Whether it's with regards to starting a business or it's just your entire living system, right? It's a very fundamental, don't want to say human right per se, but it does change the game like significantly when people have that control, right? And they're not worried that you put money in the bank, you either don't have access to it later on, or it's next to nothing, the value, right? So I think from Bay's perspective, it's, we think of it as a layer 2 protocol, but like in terms of empowering engineers to do more. So let's say in emerging markets, because there are 2 avenues to look at this. You have the investors and people who are buying like different coins, and there's Bitcoin, there's Ethereum, but there are others, right? I know I've been following your Base account as well. You've been a Toby enthusiast there.
Toby's gonna change the world.
Toby's gonna change the world, right? So there's that angle. But then there's also the angle of like innovation, right? So, and that's the part I'm also curious about, is like, do you feel like there's still a lot of, maybe not just for Eden Life, but in the emerging markets like in Nigeria, there's still a lot of room for people to build on base and on perhaps other like blockchain technologies as well. Do you feel like there's still room there? Because we have seen a lot of fintech, but these are fintech 2.0 innovations. But do you still feel like there's still opportunities and problems to be solved? Yeah. Okay.
100%. 100%. I mean, like the financial use cases are the most obvious ones right now, and so we're starting to see that first wave of financial applications of fintech being built with crypto. The biggest use case we see now is cross-border remittance. So people trying to do business with people outside the country and within moving money across borders. That's what most people are building right now. I'm starting to see a few savings products as well, savings and investment products. Starting to see betting come up. I use betting to describe anything that looks like not just betting, but includes what do you call the prediction markets. We're also seeing that, but there's so many opportunities, especially around real problems like that we have here. For example, one big thing that I predict we'll see in the next 5 years is using crypto to solve ownership, things like land and property. We're going to start seeing the blockchain take the stage, and also other forms of real world assets management. We're going to start seeing that. It's going to take a while for the regulations to catch up. That's why we're seeing more progress on the financial side, because those are the places that already have regulation working in their favor. But I'm sure the builders cooking for these other use cases, and we'll see them soon.
Is it accurate to say the pace can only be as fast as regulation? Because think about the use case you mentioned with regards to like digitalized assets, so like tokenized equities or things like that. That's a trend we're seeing in the Western world already. Like, how far behind is Nigeria from that reality?
Well, I've said not too far, because honestly, the moment something works somewhere in the world, it's usually is quickly adopted. And you know this saying, slowly at first, then all at once. I think that's how it's going to play out, because with the way technology is advancing, a lot of these things would appear obvious, right? Yes, sometimes regulations can slow things down, but also I think a new crop of builders is coming that would accelerate regulation as well. So they will definitely influence each other. So fingers crossed. Okay. I'm definitely more on the optimistic side, though.
On the optimistic side, yeah.
I'm always bullish, right? So
that's the way to go. Okay.
Yeah.
Nadayar, so you're leading Eden Life. You started this. Just bring us into your day-to-day as a CEO at Eden Life. What does that look like today? Other than the 5 hours spent on traffic.
Actually, yeah, it's quite simple. I have a personal routine, and I have my work routine, and then I leave room for special activities. So I get up in the morning, I do my meditation, I work out, and then I check emails, see if there are any fires that need addressing. I speak with my executive team as my first meeting of the day, where we just have our priorities. I try to not have more than 3 things that I need to get done in a single day. Those 3 things are usually something that has to do with customers or product, or it has to do with money, or it has to do with team. So those are the 3 main areas that I'm usually floating around. These days is mostly around money, because yeah, like I know we're going to talk about some of the challenges, right? Some challenges that we have faced in the business. The last few years, inflation has been crazy, and so our customers have lost a lot of purchasing power. So that means we had to start serving other business segments. So we started serving corporates and businesses. So instead of delivering our services to just individuals, we started serving companies, because companies want to offer some of these services to their employees, but in a standardized and more efficient way. It turns out that is actually more financially lucrative than serving individuals. So that has become more of our priority these days. And so I focus a lot of time on speaking with these businesses, reaching out to new businesses. Yeah, usually that takes up most of my day until the evenings. By evening, I just wind down, play some music.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I think you're probably one of the most talented people that I know. Obviously, you're yeah. So go to school together, like you academically, yeah. That was like, you know, you're top of the game. But it was funny to see that you could play so many. How many instruments can you play now?
No, not that much. Maybe 3 or 4.
Okay, yeah. That's still a lot, right? Very few people can even play one. Okay.
Yeah, these days I'm mostly playing the bass guitar. So I play to just like wind down and then maybe catch up with some friends. I go to bed very early, like before 10 I'm in bed, so I can get up by like 5-6 the next day and like do the whole thing all over again. And then on Saturday we play football. You know, we have to play football.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. Okay. Yeah. Because a lot of people think of like, you know, you're working, you know, like 12 hours, not 12 hours, but maybe longer, you know, 7 days a week. But you do have to make time as well for other things, right? Okay.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of like, you know, hustle porn out there. And I'd say it's times and seasons, right? You can't, because it's not a sustainable lifestyle. So it's important to have a more measured something. One of my advisors gave me something many years ago that really helped me. He said, manage your energy, not your time. The times when you feel super energetic about something, like you can go all in and have very intense work sessions. And then there are also times when you're not so energetic and then you work on less tasks, right? So I just take it as the day comes and goes, you know, cycles. But I'm never in overdrive all the time. Like it's not really my approach.
Yeah. I also really like your approach with regards to that in terms of like just efficiency and productivity. Like you got 3 things you mentioned, right? Everyone's got their different styles, but you got those 3 things, and those 3 things must be done. Yeah,
those 3 things must be done. Yes. If I do anything else, it's a bonus.
Is a bonus. Amazing. Okay. So you talked about a little bit also around this B2B, going from B2C to B2B, and so when I speak with a lot of founders, one of the things they mention is this whole like top of the funnel. How do they get like this all the businesses and customers? What have you found has been working in that regard for you with regards to this line of business that you're in now?
Yeah, the way it works in Nigeria mostly is relationships, actually. So we always have to be out there making new connections. It definitely helps when your team members have those pre-existing relationships. Like for us, when we're doing the B2B thing, we literally just went to bring on people who were working in this industry before. So they're bringing all their relationships in, and then we relied heavily on our network as well, all our network of investors and existing customers. These people make introductions all the time for us, and so word of mouth and pre-existing relationships have worked the most for us at this stage. I believe moving forward we're going to be seeing a lot more inbound because we're investing in SEO. When people are looking for us, it is easier to meet us. Another thing that I've found that works here is attending conferences. I didn't used to believe in that before, because I thought like if you're not speaking at a conference, then you shouldn't be going there. But in recent times, I've found that it's very effective in this part of the world because you go out there and people are actually trying to meet people. So that kind of networking also works, but it still doesn't beat getting a warm introduction from someone who already knows somebody, right? So
interesting. Okay. Yeah. You mentioned investing in SEO. So is that like, are you thinking about this from traditional SEO in terms of like search engine ranking? Because these days we've also been hearing about like inbound, channels from you know what I'm like getting at, AEO, answering engine optimization. Like is that what's your angle with that? And what's your take?
Right now, we're investing in traditional SEO first. I think the AI already picks up on that, actually. Like the agents are feeding off the existing data that is there, right? So it doesn't hurt to do the traditional one, because even if the talk about AI is everywhere, the people who are using it, when I observe my surroundings, is mostly people that look like us. Like the much older people who are actually in control of most businesses here are still they're still running on the current system, right? So it's better to meet them where they are
Yeah.
for now. But I'm pretty sure with the way things are moving, a year and a half from now, this might not be entirely true. So
Okay.
we'll also be investing in AEO as well.
Got it. So Nadayar, what hasn't maybe I can rephrase this. If there's one thing you could change about the business or improve on, maybe give us those top two things.
There's one thing I could improve on our business is I would take this is also me wishing out loud, so universe conspire in my favor. I would take I would take what we've built for consumers and make it an open platform so other builders can build on top of it, because I believe that it will reach people faster. And then on top of that, I would also layer on some sort of like finance and business support components to support local businesses, because at the end of the day, when we talk about quality of life and the service providers delivering these services, they need a lot of support. They need financing, they need education, they need equipment, and it'd be great for us to figure out how to support those people more to deliver. I'll do those two things. I would allow other builders to build on top of what we've built, and then I would also provide more resources to people delivering the physical services so they can deliver better.
Cool. Awesome. And just in that line of thought, what would you say is your 6 to 12 month vision? Let's go for the 1 year. Let's go 1 year. Yeah, what's your 1 year vision? Yeah.
I'd like to end this year comfortably profitable. So at the end of last year, we got to profitability, like ramen profitability, basically.
Congratulations, that's something. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. So by the end of this year, we'd like to be in a very comfortable place, because then we can start investing in those two things I mentioned, like opening up the platform and then supporting people to deliver better. I think when we start doing things like that, that's when the ripple effect really starts to show in quality of life improving and spreading.
Yeah. Okay. Pretty cool. Is there anything we haven't talked about today that we should touch on? Is there anything else?
I don't think so. I think we've covered the full range. We're gonna maybe share words of advice for other builders.
Yes.
Perhaps.
Yes, please. So on that camp, what gems, insights, wisdom would you have for ones who are, because this is your second gig, right? You went through Andela, and I'm sure a lot of learnings that you've carried from there onto Eden Life as well, and you've also like been able to scale this Eden Life and still growing as well. How would you package this and deliver this to our audience in a way they can save a few years of mistakes?
Well, I mean, I would say that number one ingredient for success for me is grit. Because there are a lot of times, building a business or venturing into something new is just a road of uncertainty. Even when you're the smartest person, even when you have the best market, even when you have the best tools, still a lot of uncertainty, especially with the way the world is right now. And so I would advise people to really lean into their sense of purpose and have a strong foundation there. There's this concept I learned of called the massive transformational purpose. It's from this exponential organizations school of thinking, and they say your massive transformational purpose is the thing that's going to drive you, is the thing that never changes over like decades, right? And so when things are uncertain and when things are difficult, that is the thing that would keep you grounded. It is the thing that would make you believe that tomorrow is going to be better, or tomorrow is going to be good, regardless of how long it will take. And it's the thing that also keeps one mentally flexible to evolve and to navigate the different challenges that business is going to throw at you. So that's my biggest advice for people is like, this game is heavily dependent on grit. I think is the most important thing actually. And in order to have enough grit, you have to be grounded in a massive purpose that will keep you going for decades.
And do you have any examples of this? You could use yourself or what you've seen in other people.
Yeah, I can use mine, which is kind of I shared with Eden Life. Our massive transformational purpose is to 10x the quality of life. Like, that's why we exist. So the way we achieve that is going to change and has been changing. and it will continue to change. But one thing is for sure, when I wake up in the morning and I look outside and I see what life looks like, I'm like, oh yeah, like something needs to change here. So that keeps me going. For Andela, it was connecting brilliance with opportunity. We noticed that brilliance was evenly distributed, but opportunity was not. And so we kept looking for more ways to connect brilliance with opportunity. And I'm sure every entrepreneur there has something deep down that's a burning desire that they want to see change in the world, and they can form theirs from there.
Amazing. This is amazing. Hey, Nadayar, what about builders who are, they're in emerging markets like Nigeria, and they're thinking of, maybe they've already started their thing already. Like, how can any advice for those folks as well with regards to, just from a technology perspective?
From a technology perspective, you say builders in Nigeria and Africa?
Yeah.
They need more grit.
They need more grit. Okay, that's it. Okay. Because
it's just much harder to build in these parts. I'd say you definitely need more grit. They have all the tools at their disposal. I think we have very talented builders. I'm rooting for all of them.
Would you say capital is also a thing as well? Because like for you, you've had like that. You've had that support, whether it's from like local investors or investors externally as well. Do you feel that also like plays a role with regards to people's success?
It does. Access to capital is a big deal, actually, because I was having a conversation with a good friend who is also an entrepreneur last weekend, and he was comparing our tech ecosystem in Nigeria and Africa to Silicon Valley, right? And he was like, you have to consider how much money Silicon Valley just decides to light on fire, right? Like, they burn so much money. They are lighting so much money on fire. A lot of it goes to nothing. A lot of it actually goes to nothing. And there are a few successes that actually are massive successes that make up for the rest of it, right? And you compare that with what is happening here in the venture space, and a lot of companies are being pressured to be profitable very early. So you tend to see a lot more businesses hit like small levels of scale, and people are not really like swinging for the fences. So in an environment where there's an abundance of funds and fundraising, people can innovate more. We all benefit from even those failed investments. Funding certainly plays a role. I think with more funds available, people would take more risks or would try more things, because like there's an abundance of problems,
Yeah.
Over here.
So Nadayar, for any investors who may be listening to this in the Western world, what is a common misconception that they may have about emerging markets like Nigeria in terms of from an investing perspective?
There are a few misconceptions. One misconception is that the market is small. I once had an investor turn us down because he said, I was cried that day. He said the GDP of New Jersey is bigger than the GDP of Nigeria.
Are you serious? Wow.
And it's straight facts, right? Like, he's not even lying.
I have to look that up. Really? Wow.
Yeah. He's not lying.
I guess it's a factor of population as well, too, right?
Yeah, well, population and also just like industry. But you have to take a different. The misconception is just looking at what the country looks like in its current state. I think people have to start, even Nigerians themselves or Africans themselves, we have to start looking at our situation more like, what does this thing look like when everything is working? Instead of looking at it and saying, oh, like this thing is not working, there's no prosperity here, and there's all this dysfunction, we should be asking, what does this look like when all these dysfunctions go away? And then we should be directing capital to fixing those dysfunctions, because that is what is going to create the financial abundance and the environment that we're all looking for. So I would say people should be taking that approach. I'll also say there's this book called Prosperity Paradox, written by Efosa Ejomon, and it talks about market creating innovations, where because of the unique situation of emerging markets and the different constitution of like resources, it is possible for people to invent solutions that work at scale with a small fraction of the resources that it would cost in other markets. So you remember how I said if you gave me 100 million, I'll go build a new city. If you gave me an extra 50, I'll use that 50 to run an R&D lab that just focuses on like markets creating innovations that will create markets where there was nothing before while spending a lot fewer resources. Yeah, investors really need to start looking at the opportunity from the perspective of, oh, what happens if everything is fixed, and then let's use the money that we have to fix the things. Because bro, like this could be one of the most prosperous places in the world. It's just we have to get the dysfunction out of the way. But to get the dysfunction out of the way is going to require capital and grit and missionaries who decide to tackle them.
Yeah. Hey Nadayar, great gems you've shared today, and you're doing great work. You guys have just, your work it's from Andela to Eating Life. It's really inspiring and amazing to see. And keep that grit going as well. You're inspiring many others as well, even there in Nigeria that probably they're not bold enough to take that next step. But Nadayar, thanks again for joining us on the show, and let's keep the conversation going. Okay.
Thanks a lot, Zua. Chat soon.
Chat soon.
Bye.